Are you seeking to understand who you are, what you want from life, and where you fit into this busy world? The Man That Can Project Self-Discovery Program is the program to help you answer those questions. This program with 3 comprehensive modules helps you get clear on who you are as a man, what you want from your life, and where you can set yourself up to thrive. Throughout this program, you're going to dive deep on some of the life's questions that only the most successful people ever spend time to answer. It's not only about standing out in this busy world, but it is using your life experiences to create a better life for yourself. I know that I wish I had this when I started my journey. It would have helped me fast track success and get clear on what was truly important. Once you complete this program, you're going to have a better sense of direction and purpose for your life. You will have more confidence and resilience and a complete roadmap to create the life that you want. Don't wait for tomorrow. Start today. Head over to themanthatcanproject.com and check out the self-discovery program. I can promise you, your life will never be the same. Why we need a personal board of advisors, the team that is guiding me. Now, this, I believe, will be one of the most impactful newsletters I've done, podcasts that I've spoken about individually that will allow you to rapidly transform your life, meaning going from the man you are now to the man that you want to become. One of the biggest problems that I faced for a very long time growing up was I didn't have the right role models to help me become the man I needed to be. And what that means is ultimately learning the skills that I needed to, developing the right beliefs and confidence within myself to know what I want and how I can create that, and to build my risk tolerance to try new things. Because one of the things that held me back, and maybe you can relate, was the fear of judgment, was the fear of criticism, was the fear of failure, and more recently, the fear of success. And these are very common things for men out there. And the problem of this was because of all of these things, I was limited by my location, or I perceived I was. Grew up in a town where there was growing up, maybe 80,000 people, which for some of you may seem astronomical, as I know there's some small towns where there are just absolutely no people, but you'll benefit from this. And then there are many of you who go, wow, that is like a blink and you'll miss it kind of town, because you've grown up in cities where there's hundreds, if not millions of people. So that location really limited me. And because of that, I thought that I became a product of my environment. I didn't understand the time we lived in. 2024, as I'm recording this, is one of the most exciting times. You're watching this or listening to this, or maybe you've read this through my podcast or through the YouTube channel. I personally have done the same things with my board of directors, and I've been able to learn from them, take their concepts, take their frameworks that I believe are going to add value to my life, and then start implementing that to create change. And that has happened across all areas. Now, 20 years ago, that was not possible. So it was a little bit harder there. Your location, meaning the environment that you were set in, the town that you're in, definitely was a limitation. That is no longer the case. If you want to start building and then grow out of it. It was a huge problem that I faced, not really leveraging that online space for a very long time. So I was almost walking alone and I was struggling for a bit there. And as you guys, I guess the cliche saying, as I always say, cliche is a cliche for a reason, but we are heavily influenced by those that we spend the most time around. So what we consume heavily impacts us and influences us. So for me, I had to stop watching, or one day I realized I should probably stop listening to sad songs. I still remember I used to listen to bands like Sum 41 and Green Day and AFI and a lot of those sorts of sad rock style bands that sometimes they make you feel good, but a lot of the time I actually walked away feeling sad. It got me thinking about a breakup or not feeling good enough. And that influenced how I showed up in my life, because we know that the level of our energy, we know that our mood influences the opportunities that we see. So if I was to continue listening to that, it was only going to pull me apart. The next thing was like looking at the news. That just made me feel crap all the time. And being around negative people. Had to distance that, because that was a drawback in my own success. And it's important for us to recognize the environment that we're putting ourselves in, what we're consuming. Is that adding value to my life? Is that moving me closer to the life that I want? Or is it holding me back? And when you get really clear on the man that you want to become, when you get really clear on the life that you want to live, this will help you make decisions. The decisions don't get easier. You just are very clear on why you need to make a specific decision, if it means removing people from your life, etc. So a big pain point for me before learning and looking into the board of the directors was money. It was something that I never discussed. It was something that I avoided at all costs. I never checked my bank account. I tried not to, manage it until I'd get an alert from the bank, or I'd go to buy something and the card would say insufficient funds. And because I put my head in the sand, it only kept kicking the can down the road. And as with anything, whether it's your health, whether it's your relationship, or whether it's your finances, if you put your head in the sand because it's uncomfortable and you don't want to, be more involved in improving it, it's only going to go one way, and that is fucking bad. Right? It is terrible. What you track, you can manage. So if you're not looking at those things, it will have an impact. And for me, it started straining my relationships. It strained, declined and was detrimental to my own self-esteem, and self-worth, because I just knew I sucked with money and I did not have money, and I was using money as a measuring stick of my success. Now, it's quite funny that I would use that as a measuring stick of my success, but I would never track it, and I wasn't learning or looking to improve it. Quite weird, very contradicting. It wasn't until I was really diving into growing my own business and wanting to become more of an entrepreneur that I started learning about board of advisors and how a lot of companies had them to help the company grow and be the best that it could be. And it clicked for me one day. I thought, if a business does that and their goal is to be the best that it can be, and it obviously has KPIs around what that looks like, wouldn't it make sense for me to have a personal board of advisors that are going to help me live my best life and help me, thrive? And that's where this whole concept and idea came from, because I thought, okay, regardless of where in the world I am, ideally in the town that I'm in, you want to get some close friends and ideally some colleagues that you can use as a board of advisor to brainstorm with, be challenged with, and test ideas. But more so, for me to grow into the man that I want to be, I know that I need to develop my skills. I know that I need to start forming my own opinions. I know that I need to be, hanging around and listening to conversations that are talking about things that I don't understand that will heavily influence my life. And so I started looking into business. I started looking into money. I started looking into health. I started looking into relationships. And over time, what I've realized is, as I've gotten better with these areas, I've noticed connections. So as I've understood business more, I've realized how some things that they talk about in business can benefit my relationships. As I've gone down the route or rabbit hole of learning how to improve the relationship with myself or with my wife, I've recognized, hey, these lessons are applicable to achieving my training goals. And the cool thing is the more you think about it and the more you learn from these vast areas, you recognize you as an individual is so powerful. You have a lot of these skills and understandings. You just need to put it in a way that you relate to, right? So when I look at a personal advisory board or collective as my framework is, I would picture it as building a team. Like if you love Premier League football, if you love hockey, or if you love NFL over here, they're always trying to find the right piece to the puzzle so that they can have a championship winning team. Your personal advisory collective is your championship winning team. Who needs to be on it to support you to grow? So the framework that I've got now, if you're listening, grab a pen and paper out, or you can head over to themanthatcanproject.com and check out the newsletter Personal Advisory Board. Now, the first one is identify key areas of your life. So these could be, these are different for everyone, but for me, if I just go off the top of my head, there's physical health, there's mental health, there is finances, there is love, there is friendship, okay, and then there's spirituality. Let's use those ones as an example. You can list out your own key areas of life. It may be less, or maybe more. Whatever works for you. This is you taking ownership. But I want you to determine those areas of life that you want to improve on. So we move into step number 2, which is research the experts in that space. So find 3 to 5 experts for a specific space that you can start learning from. And from that, you're going to start understanding which ones have more similar beliefs or which ones talk in a way that you enjoy, that you gravitate to. An example would be, who do I want to talk about? Health. Let's talk about money. So there's so many people who talk about money. You've got Robert Kiyosaki, you've got Grant Cardone, you've got Dave Ramsey, for example. And I've listened to a lot of all of their stuff. I've read their books, I've listened to their YouTubes and their podcasts, and I have spent different, times with them learning how they think about things and talk about money, etc. Right now, Dave Ramsey is someone who resonates with me most. The way that he talks, his beliefs around money and what he's creating suits the season of life that I'm in, okay? So research those experts, take bits and pieces, but I think ultimately after a little bit of time, you will gravitate more to one expert in that area. And I do believe you want to get it down to one expert for some focused learning so that you can not always be contradicted, because there's so many differing opinions out there that one day you could say, this person could say the best way to create wealth is through the stock market. The next person, for example, Grant Cardone, the best place to build wealth, real estate. Then you could have someone in the crypto space, the best place to build wealth, crypto. And then you're like, whoa, what am I supposed to do? So what I do is I'll go all in on one person that I'm resonating with, and I'll do that, and I'll follow that, and I'll cut out and block out all the outside noise and just do what one person says in that specific field until I achieve my objective, okay? So I just want to recap quickly. Point 1, identify the key areas of your life that you can improve. Number 2, research experts. Number 3, consume their content. So as I said, engage with a couple of pieces of their content. You'll get a feel for them, whether you like them or you don't. Number 4 is select your advisors. So choose your favorite expert in each of the areas that you have determined. So I'm going to share with you my new board of advisors in a moment, if you watch till the end. I have recently just changed mine after about 2.5, 3 years. I'd had a board and I consumed a lot of their content, read all their books, went to their events, etc. And it really helped me grow and develop. But as with everything, that season's done. I'm on to a new one, and there's some new people with some new ideas and ways of thinking that I'm really into. So I've changed that board, and I think it's important to recognize that as you grow and evolve, other things in your life need to grow with the times. So 5 there was lock in your board. Number 6, learn weekly. So learn regularly from those advisors. What I do is I subscribe to them all on YouTube, all on Spotify for the podcasts, and I try to consume their content as much as I possibly can. So depending on what your lifestyle setup is, you will have time allocated for personal development. It may mean you can listen to one podcast a week, meaning every week you get to listen to a different area that you want to grow in, for example. Or if you have a little bit more time, it may be every day, right? Whatever works for your situation, there's no right or wrong, but you want to continue upskilling so you get new ideas, you can form new opinions, you can try different things to become more efficient, to build better results, and to live a better life. Number 7 was implement one thing that you learn every week. This is a big one because a lot of people will continue consuming content, but they don't actually implement anything, meaning they don't create change in their life. The only way you're going to improve your life is by doing something differently. Okay, so the education part is the first thing, right? Knowledge is power, they say. It's like, no, knowledge is potential power. Acting on that is what can create those powerful results for you. And then the final point, 8th point, is refresh them. As I mentioned, I update them and refresh them when I feel like I need to learn from someone else or get a new perspective, okay? So the reason why, as you've probably gathered, is you can be a part of the conversations with these people. So whether they run a podcast or on other podcasts, you can sit in the room like a fly on the wall and learn how they would answer questions, how they think about things, what their journey's been like to achieve specific outcomes. And that in itself helps you build understanding. That in itself helps you feel supported. That in itself helps you feel like you're capable of achieving these things. Or you may be fortunate to listen to podcasts like this one, where we actually teach you things as well as have the guest episodes. So there are things that you can, like that framework that I just gave you, you can write that down and then go and do that, okay, and implement that in for yourself. So It's really powerful for that. The other thing is obviously the positive mindset conditioning. Listening to people who are talking about the things that you aspire to have is very motivating. And we all lose motivation. You set a goal, and whether it's a week later or 12 weeks later, life's us. And it gets in the way and our motivation declines. And one of the common questions I get is, how do I remain motivated? Well, motivation comes when you get excited about something. For me, it's like, wow, I'm more looking for discipline. How do I remain disciplined to do what I know I should be doing so I can deliver the outcomes that I want? And, listening to experts on my board of advisors is one way that really amps me up every morning and gets me inspired to continue making change, continue growing the podcast, continue coaching my clients. Two final things I want to leave you with is, obviously, as you start learning this, you can start being more intentional with your time. It's very easy to feel like you're being productive by being busy, when that is just a trap. When I talk about what you learn you should be implementing, it's because you need to implement things that solve problems in your life. There's no point being the smartest person, this is my opinion, but knowing so much about things that aren't actually directly influencing or impacting the quality of your life. There are a lot of people who know a lot of random shit, but their life sucks. And so what I realized was the benefit in the board of advisors was I was choosing people and maybe even micro niches that would help me solve a specific problem in my life so that I could have a better outcome. So I want to give you an overall example. The example of this could be, in the beginning, you could go health, wealth, relationship, and happiness as your 4 buckets. Now, as you start to get a very good understanding of health or of wealth or of happiness, etc., you might go into some micro podcasts. So you might start then looking at Andrew Huberman, for example, who talks on some very niche health topics and stuff that most people don't really care about, but you may be at the point in your life or looking for answers where you're like, that is what I want. And that's the cool thing about, I guess, continuing to learn over a long period of time. You start broad and then you find out where your interests are or where your problems are, and you start to solve those specifically and you get better results. And the second thing to wrap it up is, as you continue doing this, you will become more efficient. So this is how we get time back. When you have understanding, you implement things and you look at your life holistically, you'll start seeing the connections, and what you've learned over in health will be able to help you in business and vice versa. And you'll really be able to understand yourself. A lot of the reason, and I see a lot of blokes, and I've actually worked with a lot of men where their life sucks, right? They have the success, but it's put strain on their relationship. And when I say success, I mean career. They're killing it in their career, but it's putting strain on the household. Their health is shot. They're super run down. They don't feel comfortable with their shirt off. And they haven't taken the lessons from business or their career success into other areas of their life. So what happens when you look at that? If I were to give you the example of this is that in order to grow your career, you've got to build network, meaning you've got to show up. You've got to excel. You've got to continue growing. You show up even when you're sick. People won't show up for their family when they're stressed or when they're sick. People won't show up at the gym once again when they're stressed or when they're sick or they're tired. Their standards aren't quite there. So when you start recognizing, hey, the reason why I've excelled in this area, if I do those exact same things over here, meaning not the actual actions, but maintain the same standards, I will achieve a better outcome. Thank you guys for listening. As always, do something today to be better for tomorrow. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you're listening on Spotify, or drop it in the comments, shoot me a email on Instagram or on Twitter. What topics do you want to hear talking about? Or just share some questions with me. Ask me some questions that I can do the weekly newsletter on, because I've got so many backed up that I'm going to be pushing out. But if there's something that you need help with specifically, just reach out and ask. Have a great day. Remember, leave a rating and review. Share this with someone that you know will get value from it. And I will see you next Thursday. Thank you for listening to the Man That Can Project podcast. My name is Lachlan Stuart, and I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful. If you did, please take a moment to rate and review the Man That Can Project on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with our newest episodes. We'll see you again next time.